Glad I'm finally able to talk to you. We've been planning it for a while. Glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad that I've been able to talk to you as well.
Yeah, you've had a crazy last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic. I think around the time of the incident, I think I had about 4 hours of sleep within a 48-hour time span. So it's really messed up my sleep schedule.
I kept sending you updates. I'm like, did you see this? This person said this. So then you were responding. I'm like, has this guy slept yet? Christ.
Yeah, I felt like I had to be awake just to make sure I could see every single thing that happened and respond to it if I needed to.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you at all for that. The world keeps turning when you're asleep. All right. Well, for me, Allumeria has always been this cool, underrated game that deserved more attention. So it's kind of crazy to see mainstream YouTubers like Waddles or Phoenix at Sea talk about it. And I guess Bobby Craft, even though he's got a Spanish audience.
Yeah, it was a really interesting experience for me as well. Normally on the early days, if somebody made something about Allumeria, I would check it out, and every little thing was awesome. Wow, somebody's made something about my game. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But afterwards, the flood of people talking about it, the people making things about it, videos, articles, everything. I didn't even have time to read it all or watch it all. So I had to just focus on the big ones. And that felt so weird. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the DMCA stuff later, but let's start with the conception of this idea. So what made you decide you wanted to make the game?
Well, I had been a pretty big fan of Minecraft since 2012 almost. And I mean, obviously the game is inspired by that game. You can't deny that. I think I had been following the updates very closely. I was always one of those people who would read all the snapshot logs and play whatever version had come out that day.
Yeah, me too.
And mess around with everything. But I think around 2020-ish, when the game started to get more corporate, I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Account migration, all of it felt like the development on the actual game part of the game had started to slow down, and I was getting more frustrated than excited about updates. So I eventually decided I'm just going to stop paying attention to it at all and stop playing. It was causing me to feel frustrated all the time because I was such a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So I had to just quit it cold turkey, and now I've only ever been playing Minecraft beta. But that sort of inspired me, if this is no longer the thing that I enjoy anymore or no longer want to engage with, do I have the skills to be able to make my own thing that I can take in my own direction and try and address all of the things that I wish that they had addressed? And the other side is I've also been a very big Terraria fan, and I think that game has been doing amazing and treating their community amazing, and the updates are always so filled with new content, and I wanted to try and think how can I make a game that is a blocky world like Minecraft, but try and incorporate as much of the good ideas and good community involvement and update schedule and incorporate that into the blocky game. So I would say that Allumeria is really it's inspired by both of those games to an equal extent, or even more inspired by the Terraria than Minecraft. Yeah.
Once you play the game, the inspiration from Minecraft, especially early Minecraft and Terraria, is pretty obvious. And I think it's a really good mix. Now, I'm sure some other games have tried that before, and I haven't really seen them. But Allumeria really gives me the feel of it, I'd say. I guess that's your mission statement, right? This is your vision of what you kind of wanted Minecraft to be with the vision and integrity that the Terraria team has.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's what I want Minecraft to be. It's more, at this point, I'd like it to be its own thing that stands on its own as an option for people to play. I'm not interested in trying to dethrone Minecraft. I don't think it's really worth trying to do that, because Minecraft is so many things to so many different people that you could never truly replace it in the eyes of everyone. For me, I just want to create a smaller scope, fun game that somebody could play over a span of a month or two. I'm not looking to create something that is this cultural phenomenon or whatever. I feel like some people fall into that trap where they think that the only way you could possibly make a block game is to try and defeat Minecraft, and that's not, I don't think that's feasible, especially for an indie developer such as myself. or even Hytale that I think could come close, but it's not going to be a replacement for everybody. Yeah.
I guess I haven't thought about it like that before. The way that I've kind of been thinking about this in my head, because it's not just Allumeria that's been coming out. There's been a lot of new like Minecraft-like games or creative games that are supposed to improve on the concepts in Minecraft that have been coming out lately. And I'm not talking about Hytale, but there's a lot of other stuff. Vintage Story, like Voima, I guess. They're trying to be the next generation of sandbox games. And the way that I'm looking at this, it kind of seems like Minecraft as a game, as a company, will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually all its fans will kind of like maybe spill out and break off into all these different games that prioritize a certain aspect of gameplay that they like. Vintage Story is very survival, progression focused. Voima is very creative focused. And then like Allumeria is also very creative focused and more of a block, easy to build format, but you have more options, of course. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's dungeons, there's more RPG. It's well organized. So I could see that happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of these games are kind of a result of what I would call the stagnation of the genre. Like in 2011 when Minecraft popped up, there were a ton of like other games that sort of came up, but they never really continued on or pushed it forwards, I would argue. Like most of them around that time, I think were just trying to be the first on like a console platform, for example. Like if Minecraft wasn't on consoles yet, somebody would try and get in there and make something that was equivalent to that. But now I think, now that the game has been there to like sit for over 15 years with people, it feels like there's a lot of untapped potential and possibilities that Minecraft hasn't really explored to the fullest extent. Like, I feel like you can kind of see the room for other things to grow now. Yeah. And it's also, I think a lot of people, such as myself, have grown up playing Minecraft. So it's almost like it's their life, or it's a very big part of their life. We have internalized a lot of the gameplay and the systems and have our own ideas about how things could be improved that maybe an outsider or someone from like 10 years ago might not have had the insight for. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit egotistical to say, but
no, I agree with you.
It's just a time thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Minecraft was pushing forward the genre that it inherited from Infiniminer. It's the largest game in the world now. I was really pushing the sandbox block game format forward, but it didn't start that idea, and I co-opted it from something else. Now, I think we're at a point, like you're saying, that it's kind of stagnated and that Minecraft isn't really pushing the genre forward anymore. What did they add recently? Baby mobs? I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's not much more innovation. I don't know. I don't see anything like new coming out from them. They're just kind of filling... How do you put this?
Spinning the wheels.
Yeah, they're just kind of spinning the wheels. That's how it feels to me. New games that are coming out now, there's a lot of people who are making their own games. They're the ones who are going to kind of push that genre forward, I feel. And so I like to support that,
I think it's also something I thought of while you're saying that is, it's our ability to take on risk.
True.
Minecraft is already fairly cemented in the genre, but they don't have the capacity to take on risk. Like, if they make a small change, you see how angry everybody can get about really minor features. Whereas someone like me, I have the opportunity to try and fix it from the ground up, if that makes sense. Like, I can take on that risk and try and mess with things and play with mechanics that if you tried to do that as the developer of Minecraft, you would get so much pushback from the community. Like, even something as simple as, like, I'm not a big fan of durability, and if they removed durability from Minecraft, I'd imagine there would be a lot of a lot of angry people.
Yeah, plus you're the sole visionary of your own game, whereas Minecraft started as someone else's idea and then was passed off to Jeb, and then arguably you could say Jeb has basically passed it off to a massive team of people. I don't really know what he does. When you're making your own thing with your own idea, I think it's easy to innovate on that. But if you're working on someone else's idea, then you're just kind of like, okay, how can we make it feel like that concept, like this concept? You're more concerned with making sure it fits what already exists instead of kind of like pushing forward your own vision. Because of that, I think it stopped evolving, or at least sort of because of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I am just an individual and I'm also so close to the game, like the turnaround time for implementing community feedback is really fast. So, for example, the block shaping feature, originally that was just going to be you had to use the hammer. Like you had to place the block and then use the hammer. And somebody suggested just make it so that if you're holding a block, you can reshape it even without it. And I did that in like 5 minutes and then it felt amazing. And I'm like, I wouldn't have thought about that if it wasn't for me bouncing ideas off of the community and gathering feedback. And it's such a simple thing. And I think the problem is when you're a large team, like hundreds of people, you can no longer do that anymore. Even if it's such a simple change, it has to go through layers of people and managers and get approval. And you just don't have to do that with an indie game. Yeah.
You named a few sources of inspiration. That was like early Minecraft and Terraria. Are there any other games that have inspired you?
I think as well, it doesn't come into it a huge amount, but Stardew Valley. A lot of people say the game gives Stardew Valley vibes. I wouldn't cite it as a direct inspiration, but considering I've played a lot of that game, like hundreds of hours, I don't think it would be surprising that influence has seeped into it. And then as well, I think Breath of the Wild, only a small amount. Like originally, the reason I have a discrete heart system instead of like a bar is because I really liked the hearts in Breath of the Wild. And I also, there's an unobtainable item in the game right now called the cooking station. And I'd love to have a cooking system like that where you can just throw in ingredients and make like anything. It's not a fixed recipe system, but I'll have to see how that goes in the future. It's not in yet.
That's cool. That's the first I'm hearing about that. Now I know, yeah, Breath of the Wild had that kind of dynamic cooking system. Vintage Story has that as well, and I think, I don't know if you're familiar with the Better Than Adventure mod, but the developers of that have, I think, been working on a dynamic cooking system as well.
Ah, nice.
For a Minecraft mod, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I've played about like 20 hours of Better Than Adventure, I think. It's a pretty good mod, I think, yeah.
It is a good mod, but I have analysis paralysis when I play it because
yeah.
there's a lot to do.
Yep. It's hard for me to decide what to focus on, or because there's so many little mechanics and things to mess around with.
Right. I definitely appreciate the development of that mod a lot more than I appreciate the development of modern Minecraft.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know this is a bit off topic, it's a tangent, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about that, claiming BTA is too similar to modern Minecraft now. Like,
yeah,
they feel like they're taking the same development direction, but I can see it a tiny bit, but I don't think there's a huge amount of merit to that claim.
I don't think there is either. So I think that I want to say that maybe people are just jaded, right? They're jaded in the bloat of modern Minecraft. And so when they see another thing routinely receive updates, they're like, oh, this is terrible. It's not like I play old Minecraft strictly because it doesn't have stuff, right? I don't play old Minecraft because it doesn't have features. I like features. I like games that have tons of features. I play I play other stuff. I just want good features. I want good direction.
Yeah.
I want someone who's got a vision for the game. And so what I like the BTA's done, they've gone back to, beta 1.7.3 when the game was good, in my opinion. And they've just picked up where they left off, in a way.
Yeah.
And they have a final version in mind, supposedly. That's what I've heard. And they're going to stop updating the mod, maybe even work on their own game, but I don't know what that would be.
That'd be cool, yeah.
For the record, where did the name Allumeria come from?
Everybody asked me this question. I just randomly did like a word association thing. I had a notepad document open and just typed out like 50 words, just random stuff, whatever came to my mind. And eventually, I think it was down between, there were two, it was like acrimony and Allumeria. And then I picked Allumeria in a way because it sounds slightly like Terraria. And when you're trying to market a game, you want to associate it a little bit with another product because that gives people a point of comparison. Like, oh, this game is like this game. So I think that little area bit at the end helps to solidify that.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like Terraria. I like the name. I think it rolls off the tongue. Let's talk a little bit about the DMCA nonsense. So If you're unaware, although I find it unlikely, about 9 days ago, Microsoft filed a DMCA claim against Allumeria and had it taken down from Steam entirely. And then they sent you this automated email that said you were hurting the Minecraft brand by using their content. But Allumeria is all made from scratch, so that was totally bogus. And the community got into a huge uproar about this. Large YouTubers were talking about the drama, Microsoft canceling small indie games. How did this all look from your perspective? You want to give us the rundown?
So I'll start with the very first time I noticed something was wrong. I had set up my to-do list for the day. I was going to try and push out a minor update to fix some of the issues with 0.13. And then I saw one of my moderators, Maz, they said in my Discord, like, hey, the Steam page is down. Like, people are trying to find it, but nothing is showing up. It just redirects to the default Steam page. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. I'll go have a look in the back end to see what's gone wrong here. And I open the Allumeria page in the Steamworks backend, and in all capitals, giant red text, it says Allumeria, page retired. Like, I couldn't think of a more, like, sinister way to display that information. So I'm like, okay, something has definitely gone very wrong here. What happened? And I couldn't find any information in Steamworks itself. So I then went to check my email, and there I see it, the DMCA letters, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. So I opened that, I read it, and then just sort of took a breath, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with this now. My stress levels went from 0 to 100 instantly. And I think in a situation like that, where it's a year of my life, like, spent working on this, and there's a chance that it could just be thrown in the trash, there's a level of stress you get to where it almost loops back around to no longer being stressful, because it felt like I had nothing to lose in that moment. So I just thought, I'm going to try my hardest to fix this situation. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to do whatever I can to resolve this. And then it felt like after that point, I was almost on autopilot. Like, I was just making decision after decision, messaging people, contacting content creators, sending out keys to content creators and discussing things with them, checking every single thing I can possibly check. And it just sort of resolved itself. It's like I barely even remember being conscious during that time because it was so intense. So yeah, that's probably a pretty decent overview of how I felt in that moment.
Dang. I can only imagine. I mean, a year of work to have that at risk of being thrown out, that really sucks, for lack of a better word, yeah. I guess. Especially going up against something like Microsoft.
Yeah.
Sure, that kind of feels impossible, but you won.
Yeah. I don't know how, but yeah.
Well, clearly they made a mistake, right? Because they were saying that you stole Minecraft content or you reused Mojang assets, but that wasn't true. The whole game's made from scratch.
They had sent a screenshot from my store page. They didn't explain what in the screenshot was like infringing on their copyright. They just said that I was damaging their brand reputation or something like that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really, it was just I don't know, like a scare thing or an accident, whatever. It doesn't matter to me now. The main thing is just that it was a false claim, basically, yeah.
Right. 99% sure that it was made by Tracer AI.
Oh, yes, yeah.
There's an AI system going through and scanning games and then making copyright assessments on them. And like, I understand if it was a mistake, like they messed up, they claimed the wrong game. But imagine someone else had their game taken down and they don't have like the community backing them like you did. Well, then their game's just gone and they can't do anything about it.
Well, I actually had some developers reach out to me with the exact same problem.
Really? I didn't know this.
I'm not going to name them because I don't think they want to be named, but they had got the takedown request from that same service. And because, they didn't have the community like I did, they just had to file a counterclaim. And the counterclaim worked. I think because it's an mostly automated system, they're probably just relying on people just not doing anything. But the problem is doing a counterclaim then has a massive risk in of itself because it opens you up to a lawsuit. You have to give them all your information. You have to accept like a significant legal risk. So it's dangerous.
Right.
But it seems like it's happened to a couple people now, yeah.
Really, I was only aware of it happening to Allumeria because I was already following the game, and then it got a lot of attention. I didn't know who else might have been having that problem. Now, I'm not super sure about the Steam landscape, but I wonder if there's other games being made from Minecraft content that are AI generated, and so Microsoft has their own AI to fight other people's AI. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. On the Play Store, for example, I think it's a big issue. You often see
Really
actual just straight rips of Minecraft, like they just re-upload the APK directly to the Google Play Store, and there's a huge flood of them. So I have a feeling it's kind of set up to try and tackle that, like to try and detect Minecraft screenshots or something. I don't know. That's just a guess.
That just kind of makes sense. A lot of big names were talking about it. And I even saw that Jeb was aware of the situation, though I don't know where that went. Did he ever DM you?
No, I've never received any like official statement or response from either Mojang or Microsoft. It's just been silence. Even the withdrawal email was from Valve, not them. So they went through Steam and didn't contact me. Yeah.
Really? I wonder if he would be taking on a risk by messaging you or something like that.
Yeah, even if he messaged me, it would probably be best legally if I didn't respond anyway. Like, I feel like it's a liability. Yeah.
So Leonard French, he was the lawyer that offered to help you. He made a video about it.
Yeah, he was great. I think he helped calm me down a lot. In the end, we didn't like have to file anything. We didn't need to. There was no legal actions that needed to be taken. But it was really reassuring to have somebody I could ask questions and be like, okay, so if I did this, then what would the result of that be, or like what are the risks of doing this? So he really helped me out, and I'm really thankful for him. Yeah.
How many more wish lists did you get on the game?
So within the first 24 hours of the Steam page being reinstated, I think I got 8,000 wish lists.
Jeez.
Just from that. And I'll check my Steamworks account. I think I'm up to 26,000 wish lists now.
Oh my god.
Which is pretty crazy. It's doubled since before the drama happened. Before then I had 13k, now I have 26k. Yeah.
That was the greatest marketing tactic of all time.
Oh, absolutely. They say that for most indie games, the minimum you want to launch with is about 7,000 wish lists. But then ideally you want 30,000. Because then you're at least guaranteed to like break even on a year of work. So I still want to try and get to that point, but you know, 26k is probably more than I could get to on my own anyway.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you're pretty close. Since we're on the topic of AI a little bit, what's your opinion on all that? Have you used it to help build the game at all?
I have actually avoided using it both for legal reasons, but also like ethical reasons, and another aspect is because I'm an indie developer, I'm like closer to people. So I think if I were to use AI, it would sort of be quite upsetting for people. Like it ruins a lot of the charm of the game being like this one person's creation. So for legal reasons, it's because AI can sort of just recite existing code. Like say for example, that DMCA thing escalated and they ended up suing me. If I had used AI code, there's a chance that it may have straight up like copied code from Minecraft and given that to me, and I'd put it in my game, which I do not want happening.
Right.
For ethical reasons, I just am really not a fan of AI, especially generative AI, like videos, images, even text. I feel like it's probably a net negative for everyone, so I don't want to contribute to that. And then for the community and artistic side, there's the appeal of me being like a one-man band, essentially, of just making the game and it almost being a piece of art. And a lot of people supporting indies are typically against like larger corporations, and the direction they're heading is like AI games and using it to its fullest extent. So I want to be the opposite of that and be like, well, this is a game for you. I want to make sure that I'm catering to your needs, and I don't want to try and like outsource work to AI or whatever. If I need more work done on the game that I can't do myself, I would rather pay somebody to do it or commission somebody than try and get an AI to do it. So I think that sums up my thoughts on the issue.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will probably be pretty happy with that answer. So how did you make the game? Like, what language or engine did you use? That kind of goes beyond my expertise, but I'm sure people will be interested to know.
Yeah. So I'm using currently C# and OpenTK. I'm not using a traditional game engine. Before I started working on Allumeria, I was really fed up with Unity, and I was trying out Godot, but for me, the 3D wasn't up to scratch yet. So I kind of felt stuck, like, well, I don't like any of the existing game engines out there. What can I do? But luckily, Allumeria is simple enough that you can make it feasibly without a game engine. So from that point, I was like, okay, well, what do I use to make this? And I had heard about Vintage Story around that time. And that was one of the biggest inspirations for being able to make a game, like a block game, and not have people just dismiss it as a clone. So I was like, okay, I want to figure out how they made Vintage Story, and I want to try and use that. And they had also used C# and OpenTK. So I had decided if that's good enough for Vintage Story, then surely I can use that and make a game similar. So I did, and yeah, it worked.
So this is all further proof that you didn't use any Minecraft stuff, because Minecraft's written in Java. Is Bedrock written in C#?
Bedrock's written in C++, so even that is off the table.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to the future of Allumeria development. So I do know that new features haven't been worked on in a few months, and that's because you've been working on multiplayer. So how's the progress with that?
So I've finished multiplayer now. I'm aware that there's still like a couple issues here and there, but after working on it for 3 months, I really need to just do something else to not go insane. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone talk about netcode or writing multiplayer development. It drives you insane. It's really, really frustrating.
I would imagine.
Really confusing as well.
Because you're just revisiting all your old stuff, basically trying to make it work a different way.
Yeah. You basically have to, well, in my case, because I had only written single player first, I had to rewrite large portions of the game to get it synced over the network. Because you make a lot of assumptions, like there's only one player in the game ever, so you don't need to do a lot of extra work. And now that the game suddenly has like 5 players in it, it freaks out and doesn't know how to handle it. So a lot of things like that needed to be fixed. But now that I have a lot more time to spend on making content for the game, I've been trying to work as hard as I can to clean up the forest biome, get it as fun as possible, get the balancing right. I redid the forest dungeon, and this has all been within the past 2 weeks. And then after that, I have a ton of plans written down. I need to share them so that put them somewhere public so the community can have a look at it, because a lot of people ask me.
Right.
What I really want to get done before the early access release is, so currently it's the forest biome is almost done. I want to finish the snow biome, flesh that out a lot more so that there's at least like 2 hours of gameplay in it. Then start working on the desert biome. I want to add a dungeon to that, another boss, more unique content like items, weapons, new enemies and stuff, so that there's another like 2 hours in there or so. At some point during this time as well, I want to work on NPCs so that you can, sort of like the town mechanic in Terraria, where you can build up a village of NPCs. I want it to work so that each NPC has specific requests and requirements to be comfortable, to try and encourage you to build stuff. Because I know in a lot of games, sandbox games, some people really need a push to be like, okay, this is what I'm building, or they like to have a purpose to what they're building. Mm-hmm. So if I give these NPCs like, oh, I want a bed and I want this type of furniture, or I want a window of this size or something, it gives people some constraints to work around and try and build something interesting. And then I think that's all I have planned for early access. The three biomes, 3 bosses, 3 dungeons, and NPCs, I think.
Okay.
And then once it hits that point, and I see how the game is doing, then I can plan onwards from there about where I want to take it.
That actually answers a lot of questions. It'd be really interesting to see this like 3D version of the town mechanic that you're talking about. It even kind of sounds like Tomodachi Life a little bit, like all your little characters are kind of like needy.
Oh yeah.
And they want specific stuff.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting, I think. Since I made my last video on the game, a lot of new stuff's been added. There's the new fishing, which I've tried. It took me a minute to get a hang of that. There's the color lighting system, and then the wiring system, to name a few. Is there anything else that you've made that you feel proud of recently?
I think that the thing that made the biggest difference to the game, well, two things, and it's all visuals, was the 0.10 update. I'm really happy with the way I split the forest into multiple sub-biomes. I feel like it gives it more life. I animated the leaves, added like butterflies that fly around, fireflies at night. I fixed up like the water shader. That looks really cool now. And then later on, around 0.12, the multiplayer update, I redid all the grass textures, all the stone, the wood, the planks. I wanted to try and redo all these textures that I made a year ago with the knowledge that I have now. And I feel like the game looks so much better for it. Like, looking around, it feels like lush and vibrant, and I'm really happy with how that looks.
Yeah, I did notice the visual changes in the sub-biomes. It looks really good. As well as you being like a good programmer, you're also a talented artist. So that goes great.
Thank you.
The art style really is good. I really do enjoy it. You have any plans on expanding the wiring system? I think right now it could just like calculate values and toggle light switches. Toggle lights.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very basic digital logic.
Is there anything else I might be able to do?
Yeah, so my plan is, right, I made this over like a 2-day period during the middle of multiplayer development. I was going crazy, and I had an idea for how I wanted the wiring to work, and I'm doing this, like, it's going to be really basic, but I want it in right now because I can't do another day of multiplayer development. But the long-term plan for it is I kind of have two separate wiring systems right now. I have the logic wires, which are what you're talking about, and the entwining system.
Oh, yeah.
And the entwining system is how you hook up traps. That's so like dungeons and stuff can have pressure plates connected to like traps and things without there being visible wires.
And that is a bit reminiscent of how Terraria kind of does it.
Yeah, yeah. The plan for that is I want to merge the two systems so that there's like some sort of converter element that can convert one of the logic wire signals into an entwiner pulse. So that would make it a lot easier to sort of have a symbiotic relationship where you can wirelessly control traps and devices or machines, but then have logic hidden behind it in the back somewhere. And I'm also interested in, of course, some sort of mechanical system. Somebody mentioned something in my community, and I thought that's a really cool idea, like a block swapper, where you have a front and a back, and when it's powered, it swaps the two blocks around. I want to come up with some interesting, sort of simple mechanical ideas that then people can use to create much larger, more interesting structures.
Yeah, you could do a lot with a block swapper. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, how to merge the entwining and the wiring together. I forgot about the entwining. I saw someone made a 7-segment display already. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that was me.
Was that you?
Yeah. I made when I was testing it, that was the thing I wanted to get working was binary to 7-segment. And yeah, I did.
They're just copying you then. They're just stealing your ideas. Right.
I'll have to send them a DMCA notice.
Good idea. Yeah, good idea. We can't let that stuff stand. They're hurting the Allumeria brand.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your 3D terrain generation tests. So you've been saying that you're remaking the terrain gen in 3D. What does that mean exactly?
Currently, like the publicly available version right now is it uses 2D noise, which is kind of like
the flat map.
Yeah, like a cartographer's map where it's only elevation vertically. So I want to switch that because it's kind of boring and samey. Like you generate one world and you've seen it all. So I'm switching to a 3D noise system, which allows for like much more varied and interesting terrain, especially things like overhangs or large steep cliffs or I don't know, just really interesting structures that you can sort of build a base around or use as a landmark or monument so the terrain looks less similar and samey. I've been working on that the past 2 days now. It's really tricky to sort of mentally visualize how that system works. Like a 2D flat terrain, it's kind of just like stacking drawings on top of each other. Like you draw like the shape of a mountain, each layer of it, and then stack it vertically. But with 3D noise, you're kind of getting like a 3D image of noise and stacking multiple 3D images together. So it's you've almost got to think in 4 dimensions, which is really confusing.
Sounds like it.
So yeah, I've been going a bit crazy with it, but I think I'm getting onto something that I like now. So hopefully that'll be out soon.
Yeah, I've seen some of the tests. They do look like you are getting somewhere. And I know that like early Minecraft had a lot of those crazy overhangs and kind of like floating islands, that kind of stuff. Notch was making use of the 3D noise at that time. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks in Allumeria and how like that makes people shape their builds.
I think it'll have to be something that I gradually improve over time. Like
right,
right now, my understanding of the math behind it is quite limited. So I'm trying to get it as best as I can within my own abilities. But over time, I'm sure I'll be able to improve it and make it more interesting. Like for me, out of all of the terrain algorithms that exist currently, I think Minecraft Beta 1.7.3 is like the gold standard for interesting terrain. You've got every type of possible terrain you could want from that one generator. And I have no idea how it's done. So I'm hoping I can make something that feels as good to explore and build around as that does. And that would be the goal, really.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way, but you can see at a point in Minecraft's development when it goes from like 2D noise terrain to 3D, classic in dev, that's all 2D noise terrain generation.
Yeah.
And then I think inf dev is when it goes to 3D.
I believe so, yeah.
But alpha and beta for sure, and beta especially, it's very 3D. I never really thought about it in that kind of context before. That's interesting.
It's really hard, like surprisingly hard to get overhangs that look good. And I think that's why early on in Minecraft's development, you sort of had more rolling hills and even though it was 3D noise, it still looked quite flat. Because even if you just make a tiny little tweak to try and get overhangs to show up, it can be way over the top and look really strange. For whatever reason, Notch was able to find that like special secret sauce. I don't know.
Took him a few years.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be adding any additional biomes, or are you happy with like the snow, the desert, the forest?
So the way I want biomes to work in Allumeria is that each biome, it's a very in-depth and complex thing. I don't want it to be like, oh, I added a new tree and changed the grass color. I want it to be...
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I want it to be like, oh, there's so many new items, there's new monsters, there's like new structures, new like mechanics or enemies, or just... It should be from top to bottom like a full experience. So I'm keeping it really limited in scope right now, just the forest, the desert, and the snow. But my plan for making it more interesting is to have a system called sub-biomes. And you can already see that in the forest today, where it's split up into these 3 sections that have the basic, like, oh, the grass color and foliage is different. Just to give people some more options so it's not like just one flat blanket biome. So I think for the snow, I'd like to do that as well. Have different types of snow biomes. Maybe one that's more like a frozen wasteland, and one that's more like densely wooded and has more, I don't know, more plant life to it. I don't know. So just different things that can change it up a little bit.
Yeah, that is kind of how Hightail handles it.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Each of their biomes is like really in depth, like a whole different experience from the previous biome.
I think they call them zones, which is a good name for them.
So I played on it like only a little bit, but the way that I've seen it is that like you have, I guess, your zones, and then your zones are grouped by like a region or like a continent.
Oh, I see.
As a fan of water, I think one thing that one thing that could be cool in Allumeria is like an ocean or a giant lake biome. Do you ever play Mario Odyssey at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember there was that lake world, and then there's that ocean, like the seaside world.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The seaside world's cool because it's like not that deep, but everything's kind of just submerged.
I think with the new terrain, it's definitely more possible now than it was before.
Okay.
Because now there's much more variance, so you get larger like bodies of water, and there's more room for me to fill it with interesting stuff.
I'm not going to try to influence you too much, but I trust your vision on what you've got for the game. It's been going good so far.
Well, I'd take any feedback. I'm fine to listen to what people have to say. Like, sometimes people will suggest things, and I'm just like, yes, that's brilliant. I'm doing it right now. So you never know.
Fair enough. All right. Well, what about new world types or like cave types? So I know that you've got several world types that I've seen. You have your default, your void, your flat. You've got your mountainous, and then you have the nearlands, which I guess is just like mountains on steroids.
Yeah.
What do you have any ideas for new world types or cave types? Because you've got your undergrowth, which is a really interesting concept. You think you've got more in store for that?
Yeah. So with the new terrain system that I've been cooking, the mountain types that just will break completely. So I need to replace them with a new thing anyway. And I think what I will do for that is just try and introduce some more interesting parameters. So people who prefer sort of more flat, basic terrain can pick that, or people who prefer really mountainous or like floating islands can pick that, because I think it would just look really interesting. But when I try and post screenshots of more crazy stuff, people's opinions are really polarized. Like, oh, I love this. This is amazing. Or, I hate this. This just looks unrealistic and silly. So having those options would be a good idea, I think.
Right.
And I was also thinking, when I first started working on the noise, the caves looked really interesting because the noise was the same from the top to the bottom of the world. So I could maybe make a preset where it's like, oh, it's a cave world, or I don't know. Different, really basic parameters I can tweak to make interesting gameplay for people who have already played the main world and want something different.
I think that, you're always just going to have a lot of people with different opinions, but that's why it's good to have one guy in charge with the vision, I think, to kind of push it forward in
Definitely
the direction that you want.
Because I can have like a hard line of like, I will accept feedback, but this one thing I'm not budging on. And that's sort of how the core identity of the game sort of reveals itself, as like, these are the core tenets of the game, and I'm happy to change anything else around them, but these things are staying the same.
Right, I respect that. Did you ever play much of InDev? Something that they had back then that was really cool that they got rid of was the different like world types. So you had like an island world, you had a floating island world, you had a hell world. I think it'd be interesting to see like floating terrain in Allumeria.
I'm definitely interested in that. I was even thinking of taking it a step further, right? And instead of just changing the world generation, I was thinking of making gameplay presets where you can specifically narrow down the type of gameplay you want. Because some people are like, I really still wish, I know it's crazy, but I wish there was durability. So I could add different parameters like maybe permadeath or dropping items on death, durability, things like that, so that they can customize the world type, and then they can create an additional gameplay preset on top of that and have fun that way.
Wow.
Like, I have all of these tools and toys that people can play with. So I think it would be fun if I gave people the ability to play with it in a way that they like or enjoy more, or like experiment with it.
That is really cool. Yeah, that's a lot of creative freedom. I like that idea a lot. Let me ask you this. In a year from now, where do you want the game to be at? What does it look like in a year?
In a year, I am hoping that the game, number one, does well enough that I can just continue developing it indefinitely. Like, I really care about this project, and it's all I want to do. Just, I want to just keep working on the game. So I hopefully it's done well, and I'm still working on it. If that's true, then I want to just keep adding more content to the game. One of the big things is in a game where you have finite, limited world, how do you continue to add content after somebody has started playing in their world? or you only have enough space to do something. Like, I enjoy that gameplay where you have a limitation, you generate the world and everything you need is in there. But the biggest problem is the game is constantly updating, so there's new content that you're missing out on. So I was thinking there's two ways of handling that. One is infinite worlds, but in such a way that it still captures the spirit of having a limited world. So maybe you spawn on an island that's surrounded by a pretty decent chunk of water, and you'd have to go, like, you're intended to only be on that one island, but if there's new content, then you can go out and explore to try and generate new terrain. But the other method is something I originally had as like a part of the design document for the game, was a concept called pocket dimensions. So if new content was added, you could generate a new like pocket dimension within your world and then go and explore the new content. And you could either have that be permanent or like a temporary thing. So you can go in, like, explore the dungeon, loot everything, then go back out, and then that like vanishes. So it's just a temporary pocket dimension. So that was the other idea I had, being able to create new little pockets of space to play in. So I think going forward, those are probably either infinite worlds or pocket dimensions is something I would have to investigate if I wanted to continue developing the game indefinitely. But for the early access release, I'm trying to focus on the very core stuff. Yeah.
I didn't know that Infinite Worlds were on the table. That's interesting. I think it was something that I had considered, like, since I made my world a few months ago, made the video on that, I'm like, well, I don't want to continue on that world because I'll miss out on a lot of new stuff. So it makes sense. You know, that's kind of a conundrum when you're adding new stuff to a limited world. Now, I think what really does help with that, though, I guess, is that you can take one character from one world and put it into another world, right? You can keep all your stuff.
Yeah.
Which is helpful. But also, because they're limited worlds, I don't really feel bad about starting a new one.
Yeah. We've had a lot of discussions about this. People can get quite heated about how to handle the issue.
Right.
One of the suggestions is make it so that the world is an island and you have to like travel by boat out to sea, and then you can go and generate a new like plot of terrain that way.
Yeah, you could generate like new islands, I guess, if you keep going out. All right, what about 5 years from now? Is that too far out? What does a game have in 5 years? Any like huge concepts you want in that you haven't had the time to tackle yet?
Yeah, that is a tricky one. Well, ideally I would still like to be working on the game in 5 years for one. And then my hope is that I can like clean up all of the what I would describe as indie jank, because I'm just one person working on it. There's a lot of things that are sort of rough around the edges because I just can't allocate my time to it. I feel like Terraria is a good example of that, where it was quite rough when it launched, but now it's had so many like quality of life updates that it's really, really polished and feels good to play. So there's that. In terms of content, I think I would probably have tried to tie up the game's progression. I know Terraria did that with 1.3, and I would like to have some sort of final boss, something to like cap off the game and just start adding new content horizontally. Yeah, I don't have any like grand ideas about where things could go. Oh, no, I do have one.
Okay, awesome. Let's hear it.
This is no promises. I cannot promise this.
Sure.
I would love to do official modding support and make it really easy to write your own mods. And also, I had an idea for if you ever played Minecraft Classic back in the day, I really enjoyed the minigame servers that they used to have. I would love to make some sort of system where you can really easily like manage your own minigame server and have simple scripting languages so that you can make your own mini games and like organize it all so that anybody can just boot one up and play with their friends or start a server. I think that would be really fun, but it's like a long-term thing that is definitely not possible for me within the next few years.
That sounds cool. Modding support, I'm sure, is always welcomed.
Definitely, yeah.
Everything sounds awesome. I mean, I can tell you're full of ideas, just because of how many tangents we've gone on. I think we're all really interested to see where Allumeria goes, so thank you for letting me talk to you. But my last question is, when can we expect the full release of the game?
Okay, so My estimate, this is may change. My estimate is probably early April, or like at some point in April.
Really?
That's probably very ambitious.
That's quite soon.
Yeah, yeah. It really depends on how I've got Steam Next Fest coming up in a few days. So it depends on how the game performs there. I think if it does really well, I will probably try and spend more time like polishing it up, adding more stuff, because the higher the chance of success the game has, the more time I want to put into it to ensure that it's like the best quality it can be and to take advantage of that success. If you are not sure if a game is going to succeed or not, you want to put minimal time into it to just make sure that if it does flop, you haven't wasted that time. But now that I have more of a sort of guaranteed grasp of like, okay, this will probably at least be somewhat successful. Like I don't have a range of how well it will do, but the more of an indicator of success the game has, the more I want to spend on it. So it could be later, it could be sooner, I don't know.
Okay, awesome. Well, the demo is currently available for free. You all should go check it out for sure. Try it for yourself. Tell us what you think. Go wishlist the game on Steam too. You can also join the Allumeria Discord server. That'll be in the description. Anything else that we haven't covered you'd like to talk about?
I don't think there is anything. I feel like we've covered like every topic related to the game so far. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do, and hopefully the launch goes well and Steam Next Fest goes good too. Thanks for letting me talk to you. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me on. It's been really, really cool being able to talk about the game. Yeah.